Hey guys, John V here from Phone Arena. You're watching our in-depth video comparison between the Apple iPad, the new iPad, 3rd generation one, versus the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1. Both offer 4G LTE connectivity, and they're pretty much the cream of the crop in the tablet space right now. So if you're in the market to buy one, you definitely want to put these two into your consideration. Now, the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 starts off at $700 outright through Verizon Wireless, whereas the iPad, the new iPad, you can get it through AT&T or Verizon, and starts off at $630. As much as we adore the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 being the thinner and more lightweight tablet between the two, it kind of lacks the premium feel of the iPad's construction just because you have an all-plastic body, but it doesn't fatigue our hands as quickly as the new iPad. But nevertheless, we like the overall styling of the iPad. It has a lot better industrial design. You have also premium choice materials, and for the price, you definitely get what it doesn't. It feels a whole lot better than the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1. So here's the thing. The Galaxy Tab 10.1 has the larger display. It's 10.1 inches, and the iPad is only 9.7 inches. But the biggest differentiator that makes the new iPad a lot more appealing is just its Retina display. It just has a mind-blowing resolution of 2048 by 1536 versus 1280 by 800 pixels. So when you break it down, do the numbers, the new iPad offers the higher pixel density at 264 ppi versus 149 ppi. So it's undoubtedly sharper looking, and it's most evident in the web browser. When we look at it very close, it displays finer looking text, easier on the eyes to manage, especially in a zoomed out view, but they still offer all the lovable qualities of any tablet. You have some wide viewing angles, high contrast looks, and also was natural looking colors, though with the new iPad it's able to capture attention even more just because its color tones are a little bit more saturated thanks to its warmer tones. Not surprisingly, both tablets offer front-facing cameras, but the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 has the higher count. It's a 2-megapixel one versus the VGA camera on the new iPad. So we like the extremely responsive feel of both tablets' dedicated buttons, but with the new iPad, it's just raised more, so it's easier to feel out with our fingers. When it comes to power and data connectivity, both rely on 30-pin proprietary connection ports. The new iPad only has a single speaker, whereas the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 offers 2 speakers left and right. Lastly, in the rear we find their cameras. It's a 3.2 megapixel camera with LED flash on the Galaxy Tab 10.1. On the new iPad, it's a 5 megapixel iSight camera, no flash, but offers backside illumination and an f2.8 lens. So here we are again with another comparison between an iOS device and Android. It's ultimately the biggest differentiator between the two. On one hand, with the new iPad and its iOS 5.1 experience, if you definitely want something a lot easier to understand and learn, definitely want to stick with the new iPad. Simplistic layout, low learning curve, and it's very intuitive, and it's not as cumbersome. Whereas the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1, the personalization is more your kind of thing. You definitely want to stick with the Honeycomb experience on here, just because you have all the cool widgets, very useful. It has a little bit higher learning curve, but again, you compromise that with the rich level of personalization that it has to offer. We can talk about numbers and figures in terms of raw processing power with both tablets, but honestly, it just comes down to real-world usage. That's ultimately what's going to matter the most, and it's quite evident that the new iPad is the more responsive tablet between two, just because there are some evidence of slowdown and lag, some jerkiness with the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1, even with other things such as pinch gestures in the gallery. It just seems like the new iPad is a lot more fluid with its nature, and it's a consistent thing. It rarely slows down or has any choppiness with its movements, and it's quite arguably one of the fastest things out there. Typing messages up on either tablet's not a problem just because they have the same performance. They have a responsiveness that's able to keep up with our fingers, and on top of that, very accurate, spacious as well. So whether it's the landscape or the portrait style options, both are more than adequate enough, and they have also the same feature in voice dictation. We truly adore that both tablets offer 4G LTE connectivity, so web pages like ours load up in no time at all. But between the two, you could tell with the performance that the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 just has a little bit more choppiness with its performance, whereas the iPad has just very fluid nature. But you do gain the advantage of having flash support on the Galaxy Tab 10.1, so you do get that desktop-like experience. But either way, both are wonderful. Between two, we have to say that we prefer the music interface on the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1, just because the iPad still resorts to using the same conventional looking player. Nothing really fancy about it, but with the Galaxy Tab 10.1, you have this cool 3D carousel, which gives it a little bit of visual appeal. But aside from that, in terms of the audio quality, they're relatively the same. Good, strong volume output. They don't crackle loudest volume settings, and it's very pleasant to the ear. Up top, we have the new iPad, and the bottom, the Galaxy Tab 10.1, and honestly, when it comes to playing high-definition videos, both tablets are wonderful for that. You can tell they're moving relatively smoothly with both, and even though the iPad has the higher resolution, unless you have videos that are scaled to that resolution, you're not going to notice a whole lot difference, but we do notice that the color tones are, again, a little bit more warm and saturated on the new iPad, so it does come off to be a little bit more appealing to the eyes. On the top, we have the image samples from the Apple iPad's 5-megapixel iSight camera, and the bottom being the 3.2-megapixel samples from the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1. And honestly, the biggest differentiator is just low lighting performance. That's where you see it the most between the two. The iPad just has better looking balanced tones, and you can tell the color's a little bit more washed out. It has an overall greenish tone with the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1, also a lot more grainy looking. But for other things such as macro shots, they're both able to deliver some nice looking shots, but you can tell here that the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 just overexposes some items where the iPad has a better job with its exposure, so it has a very balanced tone look to it. Outdoor shots in sunny conditions, it's almost negligible. They're nice results. Both have natural colors, good exposure, but ultimately it's just the new iPad that is by far the better performer in a variety of key areas. Furthermore, we definitely prefer the iPad versus the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 in terms of video recording, just because it's higher. It's 1080p versus 720p on the Galaxy Tab 10.1, but easily the new iPad has the sharper looking visuals, more details. Both have really nice natural looking colors, but there's a little bit more artifacting going on with the Galaxy Tab 10.1, and ultimately we just prefer the iPad on this one. If battery life is a concern to you, you should have no problems whatsoever with both tablets. They're more than above average, better than other devices out there in the market, but it just seems like the new iPad just delivers a little bit more juice out of a full charge, but both are more than adequate for a normal day of usage. Even before looking at all the hardware and the pricing, you have to really think about the platform experience, because that's a key thing when you're trying to buy either device. So if you want something that has a lot more personalization, by far the Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1. If you want something that's more simplistic, easy to use, intuitive, then the iPad and its iOS experience. But we have to look at pricing again, because that ultimately will dictate a lot of things. The Samsung Galaxy Tab 10.1 is a little bit more pricey, just because it's $700 outright for the 16GB 4G LTE model, whereas the new iPad starts at $630 for the 4G LTE 16GB version, so you get a lot more bang for the buck for the new iPad. And ultimately, at that price point, combined with its neat hardware such as the Retina display, it also has the better camera. It has better camera for taking photos and videos. You do get a lot more value with the new iPads, and ultimately, this is going to be the benchmark device going forward for next year. So if you'd like to learn more about either device, you can check out our website, guys, phonearena.com. This is John V. Thanks for watching.